Okay, here we are live right here at the Lonestar Sports Show, right here, all things sports, all things Texas, right here in North Texas, Oak Cliff, Texas, doing it all here done in the DFW area. Back off of a long vacation of roughly 31 days of no Lonestar Sports Show. We were busy working in the Lonestar Sports world. Only the Prince and myself done a lot of traveling, watched a lot of basketball and a lot of things, preparing for the cream of the crop this coming weekend. Plenty going on right now. You got Lady Life, Honey the Prince, and yours truly, Alan Branch, right here back. Going back into football season, everything kicking off. As you saw, the introductory today was Aretha Franklin's Respect. You know, remember vividly. We had a great conversation early on before the show. A lot of you guys may not know much about Lady Life other than her just being the person that keeps us up between the lines, but Lady Life is I'd call it a connoisseur, a well-educated person in the music and entertainment business, both in behind the mic and behind the control boards and production and things of that nature. She stays all with the speed. I asked her to make a comparison, and I used the young lady from New Jersey earlier in comparison, so I thought it was really, really good. What was I talking about, lady?
Or Whitney.
Yeah, Whitney
Houston.
Whitney Houston, I thought, was incredible for her time, but, we always, kind of like we get into the LeBron and the Michael thing. I think there's a very good comparisons right there. I think they were different. One of the first tangents that you millennials want to go off on is what else they did. Besides, I want to stay pure to the process, I thought purely behind the mic, the voice, who she was, true to her craft, she was definitely the queen of soul. And I want to take a quick pause of silence and just in remembrance of her 70-some years of contribution to the music world and what all she did as a community. We're going to talk about some more things after this moment. A moment of silence for Aretha Franklin. Great one has passed. Okay, how about that? I could have been any better time. We just looked over to 6:07, 1 full minute of silence, and it was much earned. We have a life of that quality. We don't mind taking a pause. We say, what is it about the Lonestar Sports Show, the Lonestar Sports Network, that we would give this much attention to the passing of someone like Aretha Franklin? It's a sports show. It's not an entertainment show. It's not a music show. I think the overall complexion and the scope of what we look at is that how sports and entertainment affect us socially, economically, socially, politically, the overall environment which we live in, which I would venture out to say that sports and entertainment, sports and music are probably the two of the most recession-proof, influential social industries that have more social impact than possibly anything that we deal with, that is consistent regardless. You go all the way back to the Depression, whatever's going on, whether it's prosperity or struggle, music and sports always find their way. And I can even say that music may be more profound at being there in the way that we communicate, and they tend to work hand in hand. I think your great athletes have a lot of them have a aspiration or affinity or love for music, and then I know that plenty of your entertainment music professionals admire sports. You know, what would have a man go out and start the big three? You know, successfully he's been in everything. He goes over and dives into basketball. There was a young man that used to come into Houston, like to play pickup basketball. He would pay us to go and find the best players and set up a pickup basketball game coming at a certain time at a gym. Everything was rigged up, so you know they have a double impact. But the one thing about it is, I think sports and music allow people in general across the globe to really express who they are. It's the one time that they can take their talent and get the undivided attention of whether it's positive or negative of everybody in the world. You know, that the NBA things going on, the world stops when the NFL Super Bowl. You know, it turns into this. You know, and you turn it to music. All of your athletes turn out to support music. They're involved there. So there's a extreme crossover. There's a certain kinship that they carry. But you know, one of the things I want to get back to Aretha Franklin. You know, when you look at who Aretha was, you have to say that you kind of have to compare her to the Jim Brown. Jim Brown was a great football player, and Aretha was obviously a great vocal soul singer. You listen to the song "Respect." You know, why was she singing at 1967 when I was 4 years old about just wanting a little respect? You know, I mean, respect is a huge thing. I think so much expression, so much political things are addressed through music, athletes, and we lead right up into the 21st century where we are in 2018, and you still see these expressions going on, and that people are constantly trying to find their way of locating themselves in that world and what all is there. But Aretha was really strong in all the things that she was about and what she was doing. And we are not live at Mansfield Legacy. We are back in the studio here. There was one of the places we did visit. That was the last show. For some reason, that was entitled this. Don't get confused. We're not live at Mansfield Legacy at the main shore. So we are live back here in studio on our regular routine at the Lonestar Sports Show. Today's show is brought to you by FastSmallSports.com, located there in Chicago, right there leading basketball into the 21st century through the vehicle of technology. Another of our condolences to the family and appreciate everything that Aretha has done in leading us and showing us the way and paving the way for us to have the opportunity to do the things that we're doing now. Back at 180 Seconds with more, Lone Star Sports Show right here on the Lone Star Sports Network. Yours truly, Alan Branch, backed up by Anita Prince and Lady Life, keeping us where we need to be. Back at 180 Seconds. Hey, here we are back here at the Lone Star Sports Show right here on the Lone Star Sports Network. Sitting right here just getting past the top of the hour, getting it back in the groove, getting it where it needs to be. So free of our commercials, we'd like to welcome all of our Facebook people back. You guys were loyal to us, and we will be the first to admit that we did break away from you guys and tried something, and we made a mistake. We apologize. I'm sorry. We're sorry. But we are back here with Facebook Live to stay, and we'll stay with Facebook Live. We will continue on our YouTube Lone Star Sports Network, which has organically been progressing in a nice way, and we feel like it comes in. But we have to realize that we are grown right here in the state of Texas, in the hood with our people, so we need to stay locked in right here on Facebook. That's where our connections are. We'll continue to do some things on Periscope and utilize at TX Boys Basketball. Follow us over on the Lone Star Sports Show, Lone Star Sports Network on Twitter there also. And that's where you will be. Those are the main platforms that you will be able to follow us on. Not doing a lot on Instagram, but we are loyal to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And you can find Twitter, obviously, /Periscope. We're doing more things there. But guess what? It's football season. But before we get into football season, we are in the dog days of summer. Wrestling, doing this thing is hot. Not as hot as it could be, and not as hot as it has been. But it still is hot, and we're still in the dog days of summer. You know what goes along with the dog days of summer, and it's Major League Baseball. Well, I got a thing I want to throw out there right quick, and I don't know how much y'all pay attention to it and what all you know about it, but, what's up with this deal where you have Ron Acuna throwing the ball at this young guy that's trying to figure out Major League Baseball, are y'all playing dodgeball or are you playing baseball? Where do you draw the line? Where should it be that at some point that you use it, backing a guy up, throwing at him a little bit, getting a little respect from him, all of these things we like to look at and talk about, in baseball as being something that comes along with it, kind of like in basketball, the hard foul. But none of this should ever endanger an athlete's life or his career. I totally feel about it, but when you start throwing at guys and doing things, there has to be a way to do it. Ron Acuna has a history, and I guess I'm pronouncing this right, Ron Acuna Jr., has a history of throwing at players. He hit more players, I think, in Major League Baseball than any other pitcher in last season. So, you're doing this, or you're backing a guy up. What's right, what's wrong? We got to take a serious look at that. But, one of the things, baseball, as much as it struggles, it's an old man's game. It's older guys. We like to carry on, follow, watch. Yeah, but why isn't it getting the more talented athletes to follow and be a part of it? This doesn't help the cause any. And here you got a young guy's hit, approaching 20 home runs. He's hot, he's young, he's just come up and a part of the process, I think, at 20 years old. And, you got a guy throwing at him and doing this to him because he's being successful. Throw the ball down the middle of the pit. Beat him. Is this dirty? Is it a acceptable, legitimate practice? Shouldn't be. And I don't think going into the 21st century is going to be anything that's going to be attractive or something that's going to allow younger people to be enticing to come into baseball. It takes a special kid in the United States, especially an athlete of color or of African American descent, to really buy into baseball. And it's not because they don't like the general game. The culture does not embrace.
Did you see what the New York Mets announcer Keith Hernandez said?
Keith Hernandez, I think
he agreed. He was okay with.
He was blessed it, right?
Yeah, he blessed it.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "You have to hit him. You have to knock him down."
Right. No, it's been real all over the place. You got to knock him down, and I don't have a problem with that, Honey. And I'm glad you chimed in, but because you brought a real legitimate perspective, and I was aware of that, and I wasn't going to really go out and start trying to get guys on my side or find somebody to argue with about it. I'm just more or less kind of breaking my
thoughts and about it, but I know where they're coming from. I can do that, but at no point do you go dirty. You say, what's dirty? What's dirty is that when you start endangering someone's life, or you're in a situation where you're trying to take his livelihood, his ability to make a living for his family. That's when it becomes dirty. You run around talking about concussions and changing rules and how violent football is. Well, stand on a damn mound,
right,
9 feet away,
with 97 to 100 miles,
100 mile an hour ball, aiming it at somebody's head and aiming it at their vitals,
right,
her limbs and parts of things that they need. Intentionally, it is that's a bad thing. Right. I can't fix that. Y'all, if y'all can go find something and tell me why I ought to understand that, I don't understand that. And I played one of the most violent sports on the face of the earth since they were in the Roman Empire days, back in the arenas fighting the lions and stuff. And that's the game of football, But there was never, football was, the football that I played and the culture that I came along, it was really, really violent. There weren't a lot of rules, but cheap shots and leg whips and doing things to people, that was considered, you were less of a man. It's like like going back to I watched Gunsmoke. It's like going back to those days. You do a lot of shooting, but you don't shoot. Two things you don't do. You don't shoot an unarmed man. You don't shoot anybody in the back. And that's why I look at these situations is there's nothing wrong with the violence. There's nothing wrong with the aggression. There's nothing wrong with the nature of all this stuff that we're talking about. But not all of it should be done with a level of respect for the game. You don't compromise the game. Meanwhile, the Astros are still rolling along right there in the dog days of summer, staying 2 games ahead, and sitting there on the other side behind the hot Red Sox, as well as 74 wins, as well as the Astros are playing. The Boston Red Sox are hotter, and they have been hot for a while. 86 wins to 74 wins. And you look at that. I mean, there's nobody in Major League Baseball that's even close to the Astros, and then the Astros are 12 games behind the Boston Red Sox. It's almost like, come on, talk to me, And I know y'all don't like to talk a lot of baseball, but we throw it out there. And we got old Ranger Roy say, we talk on a regular basis, and he said, Branch, we won 2 in a row. Now, this is what he told me the other day. Branch, we haven't lost 2 in a row, or we haven't lost back-to-back games in a long time. So y'all lose, win, lose, win, lose, win. And we got some more Ranger Ross with some Laker Ross stuff coming down late in the show when we get down to Basketball Thursday. Today's show is brought to you by FastSmallSports.com. Y'all chime in on Facebook and on Twitter at TX Boys Basketball. You can follow Ani at the 5-State Hoop Report and at Ani_Umani0 on Twitter. And the things we're doing there, we got the cream of the crop coming up. It is still Basketball Thursday. Say, well, how's Basketball Thursday going to manage through the fall? Well, this is not our first football fall.
Right. There's a lot of basketball.
Yeah,
basketball's a year round.
Yeah, basketball's pretty year round. So we're going to mix it up a little bit, and we're kind of going to organically let it take the direction. I'm going to tell you what it really all comes down to now, and I don't want to throw it out there just right now, but I guess I might as well. But how about them Cowboys? Let's go ahead and talk about it. Everybody gets a little goofy and a little funny. Boy, they start kind of backing up. But one thing about it is nobody and especially here in Texas, nobody wants to get rid of their ticket on the bandwagon. They keep it back there, boy, when they start sitting and look. The Cowboy thing is really, really interesting, and I had planned to talk a lot. I don't know how much I'll do with the whole Cowboy thing and, and what my thoughts are, there across the board. But, it's just some interesting things about the Dallas Cowboys, the whole love-hate relationship. Does anybody? I mean,
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I mean, what is that about? Why is that? Why do people love? Nobody wants to bet with them, but nobody's willing to bet against them. That's what I see about the Dallas Cowboys. I listened to all the talk show guys. They were talking about who would you bet your life savings on was going to be in the playoffs. You know what my question is? Who would you bet your life savings on is not going to be in the playoffs? And let's see if the Cowboys make that list anyway.
Oh, they'll make that list for me.
Yeah, they make that. No, we better check your life savings there. Only life savings still in front of me. He ain't got his life savings yet. But when you take somebody that's really got their life savings in place, I mean, they're just hard to do. And when you really, really want when you really want to break it down and look at it, how could in the world could you roll up and bet against the Cowboys? The Cowboys sitting there and rolled in, correct me, somewhere at 9-7 last year, were mathematically in the process all the way down to the end for a wild card spot. You're sitting there with New Orleans was where they were. That was without Zeke. That was with all the things they went through. So you're going to tell me that you bring Zeke back, a healthy, rested Zeke back. I know we run up on the hours. All the Cowboy haters start telling me I'm running out of time. Hey, I pay the bills around here. We're going to do some Dallas Cowboy stuff here for about the next 2 or 3 minutes. But you're going to tell me that the Cowboys, I don't know, Zeke top 3 running back in the league? Right? Okay. Yeah. See, I know how to get them lined up. They don't like to line up, but I line them up anyway. So you're looking at Ezekiel Elliott as one of the top running backs, top 2 or 3 running backs in the NFL, and we're in a situation there where you're saying that you bring him back, and we're going to come back in this next session. We're going to talk some more. It might be a few Cowboy fans or Cowboy haters out there that might be brave enough to show up. One of them showed up late. He was thinking maybe they might cancel the show. You know how you was a little kid, you was sitting there, I don't have my homework. I hope the school burned down tomorrow so we don't have to go to school. Maybe the teacher will be in a wreck. maybe a flood will come.
There's a plethora of time for that.
Yeah, you come up with a whole bunch of things when you get ready to see about these Cowboys. The love-hate relationship with the Dallas Cowboys. We love to hate them, but you're afraid not to love them. Everybody keeps their bandwagon ticket real handy with the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. We're going to talk some more about Jerry Jones. We're going to talk some more about what is a Dak-friendly offense. I got some personal pet peeves with that particular angle. They want to go on that piece right there. But we're going to visit about a little bit of all of it. We'll be back in about 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show right here on the Lone Star Sports Network. We're going to be jumping in with some more people. We got our co-host that's going to be joining us for the remainder of the deal, retired head basketball coach from Grand Prairie, successful state champion coach. We're going to come in and jump in with us for a couple sessions. He visits in and out with us on a regular basis here. So we're back and rolling on this thing again. We'll be back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show, and we're going to stay football fall all the way until we get ready to hit this Basketball Thursday. We got some really good stuff for you guys on Basketball Thursday. Back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. You got Ani Umani, the Prince, Lady Life, keeping us in between the lines, and we're doing it like it is right here on the Lone Star Sports Show. Today's show is brought to you by Fast Mile Sports. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Hey, y'all can whoop us, push us to the back line. Whatever you do on Facebook, we deserve it, but we are back to make amends to our original fans of roughly 1,600 that we had on Facebook before we walked away from y'all. We apologize. Right back. Back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. You got you cannot mess with that Highway 20 is a monster trick of a game.
I just got caught in the room that. I'm sorry to bother you guys. I'm not exactly the focal freak of the show or anything. But
No, you still.
I'm a man of my word.
Hey, here we are rolling here back in here on this Dallas Cowboy Thursday night. Where we are sitting here breaking it all down. We got Cowboy haters, we got Cowboy fans, we got Cowboy middle ground, lukewarm dude. We got a whole 9 yards, but we taking an early prelim look at what's going on. You think me and my co-host would have coordinated this? Look at about that shirts.
That's pretty bad.
Is that Grand Prairie?
No, actually, this is like South Oak Cliff Gold right here.
That's South Oak Cliff Gold.
Like,
back in the whole
I
deal,
just picked
boy.
it up off the bed first, and Murphy's Law. Look what it got.
How it happened? Well, we've actually done that about 3 times out of about 15 times. That's kind of weird.
We was a construction crew a couple of different times, right? I think one of us had orange and one of us had bright yellow.
Right. Yeah, we've done a couple weird deals. And I never wear this Under Armour shirt right here. Probably in 2 years, Onyx probably seen me have it on maybe 2 times, 3 times.
Maybe 2 times.
Maybe 2 times. I just kind of said, why not? I think it has some weird stain on it somewhere out the way, and it doesn't show up on here, so I just went ahead and did it. But no, man, we sitting here getting it in, man. All things sports, all things Texas. Man, we got one of my guys here, my guest. So if something doesn't look right, before today, I look like Santa Claus. There's only a few people that had privy to get an opportunity to see that, but I did. I was full blown. But somebody delivered me for my Santa Claus look today. My main man, Kenny Wright, with the program. The hottest legendary barber on the South Side, getting in like where he is, originally from Louisiana by way of Longview, Texas, and right on in here to made his way in the Metroplex. How long you been in Texas, Kenny? I mean, in Dallas Fort Worth area.
Since 1993.
That's long enough. Yeah, you good and indoctrinated. You were here before the internet. That's how long you've been here. That's a long time. But this is my man here. Before we dive into this Cowboy deal, I just want to give him a little plug. He's not a paying customer, but he's my dude, and I appreciate what he does for kids. He runs the program, runs the program, called the program, a youth basketball deal and the AAU deal. They do come some of the Texas grassroots basketball when they're not over there with them other folks. But he gonna figure it out sooner or later. We're gonna let him keep on. That's why we brought him in today. But
Come on, Brad.
Talk to me, Kenny Wright. Come on, man. You said you can handle it.
Everybody.
You
supporting everybody. You love me, I love you.
Yeah, you love me, I love you back. All right. Hey, Honey over there smiling, looking a little funny about the eyes. I got to check with Honey. I check with Honey on everything.
Do the right thing, my brother.
Kenny, I ain't looking no type of way.
Say, Honey, you ain't came got no haircut. Now, Branson come bless my guy. He come see what the haircut genius does.
He got a haircut?
Wait, he got hair?
He got Santa Claus today, man.
Hey, before I went to see Kenny, I had some hair.
Yeah, he had a fro with a sunroof.
Before I went to see Kenny, I had hair. Y'all wouldn't believe that. So Kenny,
he had hair fro.
Kenny, you one of the one dudes that know for sure that Alan Branch does have hair.
He does have hair. I will contest that. He has hair, man.
Kenny got $25. Kenny got $25 of my money and the hair to go with it.
Hey, Branch. And I took 20 out because I know you.
You took 20 out.
Yeah.
We got to. You ain't gonna. Let me tell you what.
You coaches that I took 20 out. You can't tell them that.
Hey, I know one thing. If you took 20 off, I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah, wait.
I need to take a look at it. I'm going to get down and sit down and talk to you, boy. We're going to figure out how to bring this thing together if you got it going like that. But you did do a quality job. And from my understanding, I didn't even get the 5-star treatment. What, I get the 3.5-star treatment today or what?
No, it was 4. It was 4 today, Branch, because I didn't get a chance to get the hot wax on you and all that good stuff.
Okay.
I do all that stuff. Lee Wing and them ain't got nothing on me, my brother.
Hey, as long as I look good and it don't hurt, we got a chance. Don't hurt me.
Say, I'm still waiting on Auntie now.
Hey, I told Auntie months and Sundays in front of you. I said, you go down there. We're gonna swap the whole deal. You take care of Honey. We're gonna bring everything like where it's supposed to be, where you're trying to go.
Hey, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's hook it up.
You got to deal with the president over there.
Hey, Brent,
CEO and president.
Kenny, I got you next time.
Tell all the people that I got 5 of the coldest dudes next year coming to the city. 5, 23, 1, 3.
I have not seen it with my own eyes. I know he has one guard that can play. He has one guard that can play at the next level. Yeah, right now. The other ones, he said he gonna show them to me. I told him to invite me. Here go coach right here. Coach, will I come to practice?
Absolutely. Proof's in the pudding, baby.
Proof's in the pudding right here. Here go dude, coach pros and win state championships sitting right here next to me.
Hey, I like to hear guys that won state championships. How you doing, my brother?
Doing good, but how you doing, Kenny?
All right. I'm just trying to tell Branch, he's an advocate, Cowboy lover. So his thing is he's doing stuff, based on what he sees. But I do stuff on the feeling. It's about the feeling, man.
Yeah,
I mean, when you're a 49er fan, it's about the feeling.
We're gonna talk about that here in just a second. But I want to make sure I got a real good plug, because I don't want you to come back and say, "Oh, Branch, you didn't do me right. You didn't plug me up right." So we right down on Beltline and 67 in Cedar Hill, Texas. And the name of the barbershop is
For sure. It's called For Sure, and I'm inside the Easy Shine Car Wash.
Yeah. No, you can go there and get your car detailed and get everything, your manicure, pedicure, get your head waxed. You can get all that stuff done now. You're going to be about 150 or 200 lighter when you walk out of there.
It'll be okay, though.
But you'll be looking good and feeling good.
Hey, Brent, by appointment only, though. You got to tell us
by appointment only. That's one reason.
You got to call me. That's
one reason. That's one reason, because when they're not doing that, they've been the backside over there with the cones and the basketball training basketball players. They're not cutting out.
Hey, man, I got to do the right thing for these kids because, they are feature, man.
If I build a gym, I'm going to let you put a barbershop and a whole hookup. We're going to wash cars, and we're going to let you get you some cones and some balls. And we're going to let you get you a batch of ball beaters back there in the back and let them beat the hell out of it.
I'll make the pizza, man. I'll make great pizza for an Irishman.
Hey, Branch, LeBron said he's going to be the first dude playing basketball to make $1 million. I'm going to be the first dude cutting hair to make $1 million and coaching. I'm working on it now, Branch.
You're working on it right now? Somehow. Hey, and y'all trust me now. If anybody gonna do it, it's gonna be Kenny.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on it, man.
If anybody figures it out, it will be Kenny.
Hey, Branch. By the way, let these guys know that me, Big E, and Big Rod got a tournament going next week, and we're gonna have some D2 and D3 schools out there, and as well as yourself and Ani and different guys doing some writing.
What we got him up to now? We got him up to about 2 free haircuts and a free shave for me.
More than that.
How about a detail and a car wash? Come on, Ken. Come on, look a brother up, man.
But on the real tip, Big E and Kenny and my main man Rod Taylor with the Dallas Mustangs, who are bringing kids out this weekend. We got a really good point guard. I did confirm with the head coach at Duncanville High School.
CJ Ford.
Yeah, that Ford has a chance to be a varsity player as a freshman coming out of middle school, and he'll be at Cream of the Crop this weekend. So that's coming out of Rodhampton. Not Rodhampton. How about that? Rod Taylor with the Dallas Mustangs. Big Rod. That's what we call it.
Yeah, Big Rod.
Yeah, that'll be there.
Hey, but don't forget, hey, man, don't forget about 10 and 5, man. They're gonna be out there this weekend. 0, 6. Got a few of them out there. Javon Berry, he hurt right now.
Talking next weekend.
That's next week. You can't talk.
We talking about Cream of the Crop.
Next weekend.
Next weekend.
The 24th, 25th, and 26th. Branch.
What? I thought you were gonna bring your son to the Cream of the Crop, Kenny.
You know what, man? My son really needs to be out there, man. Kenton Wright, he may touch the building, man.
He's a 2022
point guard.
Okay, y'all just let me know when they get to the credit card machine. Whenever Kenny Wright get to the credit card machine, y'all let me know.
Hey, he may show
I'm gonna make up all my ground right there.
And write the authorization code in pen, man.
Yeah,
pen.
That's where we gonna swipe it up. But hey, I'm gonna hit you one more time before you. I don't know how much time you got. Can you hang out with me for a little while?
We may come. I can hang out. We may come to the Cream of the Crop this weekend. I got to see what he got to do. He studies now. He reads the books and he does what he's supposed to do.
I am really happy now. Kenny's oldest boy, I put my little sister on, Robin, who's been on here. Robin's actually vice president of, was she that then? I'm not sure if she was vice president of Warner Pacific University in Oregon, and had put Kenny's son on. One of the most impressive things he wanted me to tell him how good a basketball player was. She was impressed with was a 1360 on the SAT.
Smart's forever, man.
Right.
Basketball fades.
Yeah. And so, I'm going to throw it out there and give it a shout. There are multiple NAIA Division II programs in the Northwest that have recognized the oldest Wright. Now, Papa Wright, the jury's still out on, and I still got to see young Wright. But we know the one that's holding up the torch right now is my main man in the 2019 class. He got to figure it out.
Hey, I tell you what, man, the baby boy, he ain't gonna be much of it. He might be a little bigger, but he ain't gonna be much of it, man. Like I say, man, he gonna be short of what the oldest have done.
If he can shoot it like the young one, he got a chance. You know,
He can shoot it,
I
man.
haven't seen a basketball coach yet to argue with
He can
made
shoot.
baskets. They all get along with guys that can shoot. Makers, you know, a lot of them
They
shooters, but makers.
all know, Branch. They all
But
know.
I'm finna hit you.
Branch.
Before we go to break, I'm finna tune you up a little bit and let you see how hot the fire really is. See if you want to come back in the next segment. How about them Cowboys? Talk to me.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to come back in the next segment.
Yeah. How about them Cowboys? Tell me, we got 45 seconds to go ahead and throw your hate around before I polish you off.
Say, man,
Save me
the
15.
Cowboys are not gonna make the playoffs this year. They're
Y'all
not
just
making
heard
the
it.
playoffs this year.
Y'all just heard it. How many? Is that worth? Is that worth?
I'm betting haircuts. I'm betting haircuts.
That's six visits for Texas boys basketball.
Doe's.
5 state hoop report.
Papa Doe's.
Say. I tell you what, Branch.
Versus one camp fee.
Hey, Branch, I give you 2 5-star services, and I'm gonna take you around there to Razoo's. We're gonna eat good, me and you.
If the Cowboys make the playoffs. If the Cowboys
make the playoffs, that ain't happening though. And I'm gonna
boy,
cut
I'm in
honey
good
too.
shape.
We're gonna throw honey in there.
We're gonna throw honey. Let honey come
You
along
gonna
too.
throw me in there? I thought I was already in.
Pretty big throw, man.
Honey and Branch a package deal.
So we going to lunchtime though, Branch. Hey, Branch.
We're gonna go to lunch menu. No dinner menu.
Nothing over $20, man.
Hey, I guarantee you, we go down there and get our hair cut a couple more times. We gonna pay for it ourselves. My main man, Kenny Wright, with the program on the Lonestar Sports Show, getting in here. We're going to let him throw some Cowboy hate around. He happened to be a big 49er fan. I had a teammate that won a Super Bowl with the 49ers. So I actually liked it. Joe Montana, I parroted everything I did on the football field after Joe Montana. So you're going to get a little soft look at it here in a little bit. But we're going to be back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. This particular segment was brought to you by Hartem Hotels. Hartem Hotels is located in the Bayou City there in Houston, Texas, right down there where they put their money where they sleep. Go take a look at HartemHotel.com and see how you can put your money in a productive place where it can grow and be a part of the growth in which they've demonstrated over the last 17 years in the development and investment business. Back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. Got my main man, Tom Inman, Lady Life, keeping us between the lines. And guess who? The Prince. Honey, ooh, money, and yours truly, Alan Branch, right back at you. Hey, here we are back here at the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. We want to welcome back all of our Facebook friends. We apologize again. We'll spend the rest of this show apologizing to us deviate off of Facebook Live, where we were in the 4-digit on a regular basis and tried to get too smart for our own good. And a new millennial, I'm gonna blame it on the millennials. That's who drugged me off over there. I had no intention. I was a Facebook law. And he drugged me and old Cowboy Snoop off over on there, but we still good.
Ladies, see how he just...
You too?
He rolled you under the bus.
Gotta find a scapegoat.
Found a scapegoat. But it's my fault for not being innovative enough to know how to do both at the same time. That's what we're doing right here at the Lone Star Sports Network. Y'all can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook. And you can look at us on Twitter at TX Boys Basketball, Uneven Money, 5-State Hoop Report. Got plenty of ways to look at things. If you want to know what's going on in the entertainment world and go to the entertainment guru of the DFW area, you need to go find Lady Life. She can always keep you in. She can get you a free ticket every now and then. If they 20 years out of circulation, she can line you up right down there real close. That worked perfect for me because that's a group I like. But we got my main man Kenny Wright right here right now. We finna go ahead and juice him up. He came in. Kenny, you better than a lot of guys. Some guys roll up in with the Washington Redskins and come in here with some New England Patriot stuff and, come in here with a lot of, even some Chicago Bears stuff. I'm going to go to Chicago. You come in here and you're not going to get the full-blown mistreatment beat down in here because you come in with the San Francisco 49ers. I have a lot of respect for the 49ers program. They innovate. With what they were able to do with the West Coast offense, I thought brought a sense of awareness in the passing game that has been imitated and manipulated and whatever. But everybody wants to say they're doing this and they're doing that. But in actuality, the ability to dominate the ball with being able to get the ball in playmakers' hands. That's all the West Coast offense did.
Well, it turned a short pass and basically was a handoff.
Yeah.
It was a handoff.
That's the whole deal. How long you been a 49er fan, Kenny?
Man, believe it or not, Branch, I used to be a Cowboy fan back in the day, man, and I've been a 49er fan. Then
you died and went to hell or something? What happened to you?
No, man, I just didn't really like the way when Jerry took it over, how he didn't let Tom Landry go to the front office. He should let Tom Landry go to the front office, give him an opportunity to buy out gracefully. He just kind of, put him to the side, and that's understandable. A new owner, new regime. We understand how that works, but at the same time, you got to give a man an opportunity to prove you or fail you before you just dismiss him. So that's when I left.
That's why you have billionaires, millionaires, thousandaires, and no heirs.
Yeah,
different mentalities get different things done. But
sometimes, man, loyalty, man, it's about loyalty. That's what we teach our kids. Be loyal. You got to be loyal to something.
Well,
that's a true trait, man. Be loyal to something.
My biggest complaint with Jerry is,
we got a Jerry hater right here.
I'm not a Cowboy hater. I'm a Jerry hater. I think Jerry is nothing but a carnival barker. I think he's a snake oil salesman.
He is a damn good one.
We gonna win a Super Bowl. You guys haven't been more than 8-8 in the last 5 years. Jesus Christ, how good? What would they have to have out there to go to the Super Bowl?
I got to get my big guns out now. Boy, I got to fight two of them at one time. One to the Lone Ranger, one pull two of them out at one time.
But let's go back to Jerry and off the Cowboys. Why did you fire the best coach you ever had? Because your ego was too big, because you wouldn't share the spotlight, and then you've hired 8 puppets in a row. The only guy who wasn't a puppet was Parcells. And when your drunk butt got caught talking in the bar about, I'll only hire that old son of a bitch, I'll get me a new stadium. Well, okay, hey, you know what they say? The words of a drunk are the thoughts of a sober man. Jerry talks too much and drinks too much, too.
Yeah.
But the night Jimmy got into it, they were drinking.
Oh, absolutely. They both drank and fought. But if you really wanted to win championships, what you should have done is sat up in the owner's box like Bill Kraft does and let Belichick coach.
Yeah, now wait, hold on now. Bill Kraft is not as hands-off as y'all think. He's just not as big a loudmouth as our guy. Our guy's a loudmouth.
Well, that's impossible to be louder than Jerry. I mean, he's a clown.
But he's not even comparable to the whole deal. But let's break this thing down. Let's go back. See, y'all got old Kenny over there. Boy, Branston forgot all about it. I said the Cowboys weren't going to make the playoffs. We finna roll the thing back around.
Hey, Branch, I ain't forgot because I know they're not.
Kenny, no playoffs? Are you serious?
No playoffs, Branch.
No playoffs. Kenny,
it's a known fact. It's a known fact. It's going to be an odd year. It's an odd number year, Branch. Y'all never go on odd number years.
Oh boy.
Okay, let's play a
been
little
watching
game.
too
Let's
much.
go. Let's go position by position, just real quick. Everyone gets a shot.
no.
Cowboys. The
Okay.
Cowboys. All right, Dak. What kind of year is he going to have? Is he going to be the rookie or is he going to be the bust out last year? Which one we get?
Was he a bust out last year?
I thought he was really average.
Okay, average, but not a
I
bust
thought
out.
it
Well,
was really average. I thought,
So we all agree.
Well,
on
but
that.
the hype makes it a bust because he never was as good as they ever thought he was, and he never busted as bad as I just said.
But coach, that's bullshit, coach. Look,
He's never thrown over a 15-yard pass
it doesn't matter.
in multiple series. You think about it. How many 15-yard passes he threw
Coach,
per
you
game?
play to your strength. In the famous words of my main man, the head coach, we play to win the game. If
I hadn't been a Branch. I hadn't been a quarterback since 8th grade at Henderson Middle School, and I guarantee you this: I wore number 1 then. You know, 1 means you the best player on the 18, so they put number 1 on.
You knew what one moon was. That's all that meant.
Well, that's the number they gave me. They solidified that for me. So
No,
they speaking of what I was saying though, Branch.
Yeah, but coach, go ahead. I want to hear you out.
At some point, you got to be. I could go throw a 5-yard.
Y'all making this a
pass.
whole lot
Anybody can do
easier for me than I thought it was going to be. But go ahead. Let me go on out there all the way out there on the end of it, and I start sawing this plank off on you.
I want to know who he's going to throw it to. Even if he can throw it, who's he going to throw it to?
He's a careful bus driver, is what he is. He's a careful bus driver.
Game manager.
Yeah. A game manager.
That's all he is.
That's all Joe Montana was.
No.
That's a lot of different guys.
Nah, Joe Montana
No.
could go vertical.
No.
He could go vertical.
Look, going vertical
Yeah,
does not
he
make
could.
does not. What do you think? What do you think? Breezy is.
But hold on, when you lose Jason Witten and then you losing Dax or losing what's his name
Zeke.
No Des Bryant, that's probably a favor. They're probably doing the team a favor to get rid of him.
Exactly. I mean,
He's led the league in drops more recently
the
than he's
only
led
thing
in touchdowns.
it does bother me about losing Witten in that situation a little bit. I think that's going to kind of work itself out. I still think Ricardo Gathers may.
And you
show
may be
it
right. And I'm not crushing the Cowboys, but my whole point is when you had Jason Witten, who always drew double teams, and Dez still couldn't get open. Okay, now you don't have the guy drawing double teams, and you don't have a number 1 receiver.
Let me say this about
number
Dez.
1 in the league.
Dez was a 5-star talent until he messed his toe up. I don't know too many athletes that have ever rebounded from the toe injury, all the way back to the old days they first started calling it turf toe. You remember that, Kenny?
Oh no, I'm not arguing with that.
Yes, I remember that. Do you
Hands and
think-
feet kill you?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Do
just,
you think?
Go ahead.
Do you think Dion ever returned? You know,
They never returned.
Dion had it.
one of the most
Dion had it.
freak
He was
athletes to ever touch a football field was Deion Sanders.
Okay, so then when Dez takes the injury and then he has to decide that he's gonna compensate somehow. I'm gonna run better routes. I'm gonna be a better teammate. I'm gonna come to practice earlier. I'm gonna really be a good guy and try to work with my teammates. He didn't do any of that.
He did not have that makeup because he had always everybody on this line and on this phone and all the way across the board, even everybody in this room knows that when you have an athlete that's a phenomenal athlete and they live by their athleticism, they usually die by their athleticism.
Oh no, that's my whole point.
Yeah,
is because you're blinded by your bling, if you will. And at the end of the day, the one thing that bothered me, like Des Bryant has played for I think 9 years. I'm not sure. But this last year, when he was trying to play himself into that big contract and trying to get Jerry to sign him, he decides he's going to hire a route running coach. Well, maybe that's something you should have done maybe 8 or 9 years ago. But why would you wait until you're absolutely desperate and groveling, and now you're going to hire a route running coach, and then you didn't even use him?
This is the deal. Yeah, he could have done all these things. I think there's a certain amount of responsibility to your craft. But let me you understand this. When he suffered that injury, and I'm talking to everybody that's listening and anybody that records this, when he suffered that toe injury and never rebounded, he became a second possession, high possession type, dink and dunk, catch here. Couldn't create the same amount of separation, but could use his physicality and his toughness to still be able to contribute. So he was not that high-paid receiver that he wanted to be. So when he was pouting and going on circles about that, I'll tell it on the Cowboys like it is. You know, that's the reality of it. But when you go back to it now, when you go back to it, as much as the Cowboys struggled last year, 9-7, and still mathematically in the run-ins between the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons are still being in the playoffs.
Well, you know what's going to determine
on a bad year.
I couldn't name 2 offensive or defensive linemen for the Bears, and I love the Bears, even though they suck. I know I can't name any.
I don't know how in the hell we got the Bears in this shit.
No,
But come on,
hold
Tom.
bring it up. What I'm saying is the nameless linemen that you can't name on the Cowboys are the reason they're going to win or lose. So if you got enough depth to handle a few injuries, because they were the best offensive line in the league until they weren't.
See, one thing I know about Kenny, when I hear him up in the corner, he usually tell the truth. Let me check. Where in NFL offensive lines does the Cowboys' offensive line stack up?
First or second, probably.
Okay, then.
You didn't listen to me. I said when you don't have enough depth to weather the injuries. I know they're top. Their first four are great. What about the fifth and
They're
five through eight?
definitely top 5 in the NFL. It's no doubt about that.
Okay, but as soon as what's his name? As soon as Zach Martin took an injury, and that
core,
one guy got
their receiving core, they got me, you, and Coach right here.
Larry and Curly, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
you know.
But when you have this so-called Dak-friendly offense, which is just an intelligent offense,
Right.
it's something that plays to its strength, and it really offends me because they want to make it seem like because they are keeping it and playing to their strength, they want to make it seem like there's something goofy or subpar about a Dak-friendly offense.
Well,
It's very offensive.
Well, to be honest with you, a Dak-friendly offense is pushed back to the fact that Tony Romo basically had the keys to the Cadillac on his third practice. I mean, he called the plays from his second year on. Nobody called any plays around there. And that play calling was crap last year. It was garbage. So they're going to have to come up with something that's a little less predictable because it's hard to run when everyone knows you're going to run. It's hard to pass when everyone knows you're going to pass. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't even. I think that you play to win the game. If it's stretching the offense, if it's stretching the defense, if it's stretching the field with speed, whatever, you play to the deal. But when you have a situation where you have a running back, what would we say? How would we say? Okay, you talking about we say some people say 1, 2, or 3 offensive line, top 5 for sure, and then
Top 5 for sure.
top 5 for sure,
right.
and now you sitting there with I don't know what do we call Ezekiel Elliott? Top 2 or 3 running back in the league.
Oh, top 5.
Top five. Yeah, top 5. Well, the one thing, too, is the one thing I always saw in the past, though, even when Zeke was running well, is the Cowboys are never committed to running because the team that's truly committed to running will run 8 times in a row and gain 4 yards and still run 8 more times because they might bust the 9th one. And the Cowboys always sell out because they're
that's
Romo.
because you're a basketball coach, Tom. That's
it
because
isn't.
you're a basketball coach. I'm going to explain that to you when we come back from the break why you do that. We're going to come back and talk about that. I'm going to line you up on that.
Damn, man. I need an education.
Yeah, we're gonna come to class. I'm gonna bring them to class. Kenny, you come in, get your seat too, and you sit down. You in the 49ers there, and we're gonna talk about where the 49ers. Bartle, who owns the 49ers now?
I do.
You
Ted York. Ted York. Something like that sound right?
Ted York. Okay, yeah. I don't know if
I'm
he's
part of the family.
you part of the family. All right.
I'm part of the family.
Well, hey,
It's called a Program 49.
Program 49ers. Oh boy, I told you, boy, you can get it. You can get it in with Kenny Wright. If you don't believe you can get it in, y'all go down there, right down there on
67 and Beltline.
67 and Beltline down to the car right there.
Inside Easy Shine Car Wash.
Yeah.
Best haircut in the world. I'm there.
Yeah, now we're gonna get the real. Now we're gonna get the real commercial in, the paying commercial in. Lonestar JUCO Prep Showcase, October the 5th and 6th at Drive Nation. Go take a look on Twitter and to TexasGrassrootsBasketball.org and find out more about that. One of the most highly attended college coach events in the state of Texas during the fall time of the year. Lone Star Prep, 10th or 11th year I think they're going into there. Come check them out on October the 5th and 6th. We got the Cream of the Crop Camp coming up this weekend where we're going to take a look at some good ones. I've already found out about one outstanding point guard in the Duncanville High School, the freshman coming in, and we had to look at last name Ford. We're going to be looking for stars this weekend. Back at 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. We got my main man Tom Emlin right here, kicking it, doing it like it is. Can't even get him out to bed for 5:30 in the evening time to come to work now since he's retired. Now we got my man, Honey Money, the Prince, keep us where we need to be. Lady Life, keep us between the line. And my main man right there with the program, the mayor of Cedar Hill, the legendary Kenny Wright, back in 180 seconds. Hey, here we are back here at the Lonestar Sports Show, doing it like it is, where it's supposed to be. We are all right here in Oak Cliff, Texas. All things sports, all things Texas. My main man, Tom Emlin, Lady Life, and Uneven Money, and special guest tonight, Kenny Wright with the program, the king, the legendary. If you want to get cut up right and you want to do it like it's supposed to be, you need to head down to Cedar Hill 67 and Beltline and go take a look and find Kenny Wright down there. He can put me in a good place today. Really appreciate it. Probably gonna come back to visit you some more when we do it. But right now we trying to educate him and get him to a better place on his understanding of what goes on the gridiron. Kenny, so you tell me, give me 3 reasons. One thing, time is not you said you ready for the bright lights. You got to be efficient now, Tim. You can't take you all day. Give me 3 reasons of why the Cowboys won't make the playoffs. You can give me 2 if you can't come up. You say, Coach, I can't come up with 3, but I got 1 or 2. Give me whatever you got.
I'll tell you one reason. I'll tell you all 3 reasons: the owner, the quarterback, and the foolishness that surrounds the team.
You let Jason Garrett Jason Garrett out, Kenny.
Yeah, and Jason Garrett.
Because he's really, really bad.
Two things you said at the same time.
Y'all should have got rid of Red Jesus 3 years ago.
Hey,
3 years ago.
I agree with 2 of the things you said, but you cannot tell me Dak Prescott does not have the makings of a quarterback that can lead with the guys that have won Super Bowls as quarterbacks. You can't tell me that he's not in the upper end away from your Hall of Famers. After that he's not capable when you got one of the best running backs, one of the best offensive line, when you got some of the best things that they're all putting together there. He proved it to you as a rookie. And you took away, you turn around and you take away from a young quarterback the one thing that he needs strength on. It's just like a young point guard. I like to deflect to Tom here. If you got a young point guard and there's nothing else on the floor that they have to respect, now they can push up on him. Right, and it's more difficult for him to operate.
Yeah, you can't go by a guy if you don't go by a guy once in a while, they'll just get up in your jock.
Right,
I mean, if you can't make a shot, they'll never come up into you.
You can't make a shot, they'll come into you. Then at the same time, if there's nobody else out there, they can respect that less and let's push up on his basketball.
Just like anything else, you gotta have a couple of tricks in your repertoire. You know that, and I know that. That's part of it. You think about this. Okay. What does every point guard have that? What usually separates the good point guards from the bad point guard? It don't matter who. What usually separates them? It's one thing that separates them all.
IQ and feel. That's the one thing that changed, because you can try to manufacture one. You can give him incredible athleticism. You can have a great skill set.
I like vision. Because that factors into basketball IQ. They're directly linked.
Yeah. What are you saying, Kenny?
The thing that I'm gonna say that separates a good point guard from an average point, this thing here separates all point guards.
Right. What makes you successful and not successful as a point guard?
Well, I tell you the thing that separates most point guards.
Okay.
The understanding of the game is one thing, but the most important thing is taking a chance. Whether it works or it doesn't, taking a chance.
But that's how they learn. That's a calculated chance. I had the luxury of being around DJ Augustine, had the luxury of being around on benches coaching the TJ Ford, DJ Augustine. I was around coaching against Nick Wise. I've seen some elite point guards. And the one thing is kind of what Coach brought up was vision. But I think the vision was just a part of this crazy feel and the ability to subconsciously give an account for what's going on. Okay, I'm going to turn that and relate that back over to Dak Prescott. Y'all talk about Dak-friendly offenses, great quarterbacks. Know a little bit about playing quarterback. When you see something happen and you realize this is developing to an opportunity that might be 1 play away, it might be 5 plays away. It might be in the second half, with the ability to recognize that comes from some vision, that comes from some feel, IQ. We all agree. And when you go back and you want to kill Dak Prescott, what did he do in year 1? And since he's so bad, Kenny, come on.
Well, I just think that he relied on, on different things, on all the gimmicks to get him going. It's more of a gimmick thing. Without,
There wasn't anything
Jason
gimmicky.
Witten,
There wasn't anything gimmicky about that.
without Jason Witten, you had to account for him on every play when the ball is snapped and he's treading back. You had to at least put an eye on Dez. The running game with Zeke, nobody really, people knew Zeke was good, but nobody knew that he was going to be the brute that he turned out to be after the first season.
Okay.
So those things and a culmination of that defense, that defense was pretty good. I mean, if you look at what it ran, it was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
That right
It wasn't
there,
great, but it was pretty good.
Put like this, giving him a short field to work with every time they were on the field really helped him grow.
Yeah,
Now, in past years, you give him a long
a lot of that to do with the fact of what they average as in their punting game, special team.
Hey, can I point out one thing, though, that I think really put both Dak and Zeke at a disadvantage? And I actually liked it. I love the Cowboy drama. And when Jerry Jones was just absolutely sure that Zeke wasn't going to take a suspension, because I guess when he was drunk one time, Roger Goodell told him that or something.
Mm-hmm.
So then he was just sure that was going to happen. And he kept pushing it forward. And I kept saying to my buddy, who's a Cowboy fanatic, I said, I'm not so sure it's not just better just to take the medicine now. Take it now. It would help you. Whoever your second and third running backs were in camp, let them be your first and second. Take your lumps, and then you gain some momentum.
The Cowboys were not good enough to take the lumps in the beginning, take them later in the season, in the middle of the season, whatever. You can't lose that Ezekiel Elliott for 4 games with all the distractions that come along with that and recover based on the personnel they have. Now, I am a realistic Cowboy fan.
Okay, well, then that factors into what I said before about depth.
And you're still 9-7 now. Right. Nobody wants to go around that, and you still had a chance to be in the playoffs.
Hey, but the NFL stands for not for long. And
That's correct.
They always say if you don't have
because they're just fast, right? But go ahead.
But no, you got to have some depth because you're always one injury away. You're just one injury away from it all going to the shitter.
All right, we had this thing to go on today where everybody was running around talking about who was the surefire bet to make the playoffs. We all know that in a violent sport like football, there's contact sport, the nature of it, you're just one injury away from blowing the season.
I just thought about something else. Let's talk about the helmet rule. Somebody is going to get suspended for a big game over a really bullshit call. Somewhere along the line, someone's going to drop their head.
You probably, because of natural instinct,
Yeah.
you probably, I imagine Kenny being in football, seems to be fairly knowledgeable about football, and you might know more about football. You know about basketball. We got to check him on that. Just kind of listen to him a little bit.
I'm going to make a side bet with one of my ex-players.
Might get him over here to the Oak Cliff Redskins over there.
One of my ex-players plays for the Patriots, and I'm going to make him a side bet about who gets the first the helmet penalty, a defensive or offensive player, because Burkhead runs with his head down, and if he keeps running like he always runs, they're going to have to throw him out of the league.
Well, natural instincts. Anytime you've been doing something for, you can go in there and move the refrigerator. I'm gonna come stumbling in there tonight looking for where it used to be.
Right.
It's just that's a natural deal. But we're gonna get back to this Dallas Cowboy thing. When you look at the fact, all of y'all, Kenny out of his ego and his big pocketbook had decided to bet against the Cowboys making the playoffs. I got him on the spot here. He would have never made this bet if me and him by ourselves and nobody else was listening. But I got him. Y'all all heard it.
Yes, I had to make this bet. It's only right because I'm gonna be eating real good.
Oh boy,
in the neighborhood.
I'm gonna eat good on Branch, and I'm gonna eat on the regular menu on that trip, Branch. We can't eat on the
lunch menu,
discount menu. Oh no more lunch menu.
Yeah, we taking me and honey lunch menu. We gotta take you to dinner menu.
Shoot, man, y'all got retirement money hid on the back of y'all wallets. Got $100 bills. I ain't never seen that. Say Coach Branch went to his stash. He pushed a button. It was like MacGyver. Some stuff fell open, man, and $100 bills fell out everywhere, all over the barbershop floor.
All y'all know, all y'all know that Kenny Wright is full of it. He always blowing a bunch of smoke. Man. So ain't nobody gonna believe you, Kenny.
Branch still got his communion money. You kidding me, man?
Ain't nobody
I got
gonna
one
believe
guy to know. I got one guy to believe. They know you, Branch. They know you crying wolf, Branch.
No, we were struggling, boy. My wife ain't cooked about 3 days around this camp. We got to see what's going on. I guess we got to try to scrape up some money and get some groceries around here or something.
Say, man, spam is still good in every household in America. I like fried spam.
Oh, yeah. No, we don't have no problem with that, but we can take some steak sauce and some ketchup around here and make it work around this camp.
I'll tell you.
But that's the whole deal. We the king of high-level leftovers around here. We live a busy lifestyle. My wife does an incredible job of doing what she does do around here. But That's just part of the deal. But y'all trying to slide around. Back to the deal. You were saying the Cowboys are not going to make the playoffs, man.
They're not going to make the playoffs. Hey, Brent. Hey, Brent. Let me just make note to one thing. You know, this is always my big thing. You know, my claim to fame about the 49ers. You know, we're the only team up until Kaepernick that had been to the Super Bowl 5 times and won it 5. Until Kaepernick tarnished that record, and you know, I love Kaepernick to death. You know,
we'll talk about
stand for
Kaepernick
life
here in
and
just a second.
But he, you know, he took us to the Super Bowl, and somebody turned the lights. I don't know who turned the lights out. It messed us up, but they turned the lights out, and we lost that Super Bowl, and it made us beat and win 6 times and won it 5. Nobody else had a stellar record like that until the 49ers did that, you know. So
49ers,
that's one big thing.
No one else had Joe Montana.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Montana and Steve Young.
Joe's a monster.
Yeah,
you know,
he's a beast.
There's no doubt about it. I mean,
he's a beast.
when you throw the top 5 NFL franchises out there that in existence, you have to go Pittsburgh, no particular order, Pittsburgh Steelers, Dallas Cowboys, 49ers, and
hold on, Brett. Say it in order. Say Pittsburgh Steelers, and then 49ers, then the Cowboys. Y'all hadn't been to the Super Bowl in a millennia.
No,
in a long time. It's been eons since y'all been to the Super Bowl.
The 90s when we were
95 to be exact.
Yeah, look at
95.
Hey, Kenny, remember when he reminded you that you started cutting hair before there was an internet? That was the last time the Cowboys went to the Super Bowl was before the internet.
I'm telling you.
Now we have to start this hype bullshit because they can't put it out on the field.
Now, back to my point. When you talk about the top five franchises in NFL football, it's 32 teams in the league. The top 5 in of all time, in no particular order. You want me to put them in order, but I'm not. I don't feel like putting them in order. I'm running short on time here.
I mean, Brett, you got to put them in order. It's only
we'll put them in order when we come back from the break. But before we're going to throw them out there beforehand. I really only got 4 right now. It's Pittsburgh, New England, Dallas, and San Francisco.
New York Giants. New York Giants is the
fifth. Well, here's another question for you, Branch. Who has the best quarterback? Out of these historic franchises who have numerous championships, who has the best quarterback? Who has the quarterback with the best stats? You got to go to us again.
I don't know.
You got to go back to the 49ers again.
I don't know necessarily.
Joe Montana.
Yeah, I mean Joe Montana. You're not going to lose with me on that. I was a big Roger Staubach fan. You know, I look at all those things. We got to run the break here. They're finna run me up out
here.
Who's
got the most rings out of the quarterbacks that played there multiple years? Got to go back to Joe Montana. I mean, Brady has a lot of rings, but he doesn't. You know, he's not up to that caliber yet. He's not that guy yet.
Hey, we're right here at the Lonestar Sports Show. As my man Snoop Johnson used to always say, we're on the other side of the top of the hour. We're rolling downhill, headed down into the red zone. That's one thing I appreciate. We're back here in football. We're finna get in the red zone on this thing. I'll tell you all about that at the break. Man, Tom hadn't been here for a football season. When we roll in the red zone, that's when we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Well, here we are at the Lone Star Sports Show right here, breaking away from you. Be back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. Today's show is brought to you by FastMallSports.com. This particular segment was brought to you by the Lone Star JUCO Prep Showcase. We got my main man, Kenny, the man Wright, the program Wright, I like to call him, right there in Cedar Hill, Texas, the mayor of Cedar Hill, Texas. Got it all figured out right there. If you want to go figure it out, go down the Beltline and 67 and take a good look at it. We got my man here, Tom Inman, Lady Life, and the Prince, Under Your Money. Back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. Hey, here we are back here at the Lone Star Sports Show right here on the Lone Star Sports Network. All things sports, all things Texas. Today's show is brought to you by FastSmallSports.com. We got multiple commercial people right now. We got Kenny Wright down here from Cedar Hill, Texas, the mayor of Cedar Hill, Texas. Kenny, the program right. Good community guy, good businessman, good all around part of what's going on things that are going on that are right in the community, trying to be involved in all the sacrifices he makes for young men, including his sons. But, people always say, well, daddies get in it for their sons. Look at all the guys look at all the other kids that benefit because he's helping his son. My dad used to be the carpool guy that drove the car around and said, well, he's only doing it because there was about 7 other kids that were riding around the car too that didn't have to pay any gas money. So, I mean, don't kill the daddies that go out there. You kill them for some of the crazy stuff they do, but still you have to really respect what it is that they're doing for the other kids that benefit from it. Yeah.
I had to ask my guys in practice one day. I said, how many practices have I ever missed?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I ain't never missed a practice.
Always there. Yeah, that's a sacrifice, especially with somebody that entrepreneur like yourself. I remember when I told you my story today when I transitioned out of basketball 20-something years ago. I know what that's like. I remember sending my foreman to go pick up the basketball team while I stayed on the job to keep everything going where it needs to go. And I see y'all at practice. I mean, you did a lot of different things that the sacrifices make. So I'm familiar with what you're doing there. But we're going to go over and line you back up on this Cowboy thing. When you turn around and look at the situation, you're talking about one of the 5 best. And y'all want to sit here. I'm not going to go into all this stuff right here. I'm going to rest it right here. 9-7 with a crazy season last year. I'm going on a deal and saying they're somewhere between 10-6 and 11-5. You can hold me to whatever you want. I said I would make that prediction tonight in the run sheet. I made it. Y'all can make a prediction if you like, or you don't have to make one or whatever. But I stand on it.
Well, I'm not a Cowboy hater. I don't think that you'll be able to predict until you see whether they have a lot of injuries and suspensions. But that's every team.
Well, that's every team.
Well, I know, but that's my point.
9-7.
9-7.
9-7. I ain't gonna mess around and get demoted around here, Kenny.
You just work for free tonight, brother.
I need to mess his raise though.
But get in the wild card spot.
I'll
try to clean it up now.
I'll go out on a limb. Let's go with 8-8. They can go ahead and fire Red Jesus because he's terrible.
Why
not? 8-8 must be his middle name.
That's why Tom is a guest host around here, not a permanent host. He's talking about 8-8 with the Dallas Cowboys. Man, you might get run off right.
I think, hey, Tom, I see 7-9 myself.
I knew he was going to say 7. I was asking if he was going to do 7-9.
I just think they're going to lose that Cincinnati Bengals game. I think that's going to be the game they count on winning. They're going to lose that game.
Man, I looked at say we're going to start out on a rough deal. We're going to be 1-1 off the bat. Not sure which 1-1 we're going to be after the first 2. And we'll come back and get together. We're going to start rolling down through the lady life. Going to mess around. And she's going to be in trouble around the camp, too. She over there shaking her head. I don't know what she's shaking her head about.
Kenny,
I'll fire everybody because we don't go for Cowboys, Coach.
Branch asked you that question about.
Hey, Branch, I got one offer today. It's only for today only. Mm-hmm. Tell all the listeners out there in Facebook Live and everybody who's listening tuned in, today only, we're going to let y'all get on the 49er bandwagon. Today only for free 99. Today only for free 99. For free 99.
Okay, we got something.
It's only today, though. You can't do it tomorrow. You can't do it in 30 more seconds. You can't do it you got to do it right now.
Well, you're a big 49er fan.
I'm taking all that will come.
You're a big 49er fan now. Something really important. And I feel like in the history, we'll be in 20 years from now, 15 years from now, we'll be talking about it. Colin Kaepernick, the whole situation that's taking place there, the nature of what's going on. A lot of people thought I was crazy when I said this is just the beginning. And I said it in December of 2016.
Well, hey, Brent, you know what, man? I hate the way people have tried to manipulate what went on with Colin Kaepernick and what he's standing for. Mm-hmm. I hate to see the fact that Donald Trump comes on TV and with all his bravado and tries to, sell people on the fact that he's disrespecting the flag, and that's not what that's about. It's about him standing up for the injustice, things that happen to the minorities of the country.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's to a point now where, as if you think it's right to check a man out of a car and kill him, but then another man goes, and not saying that I'm by any means, standing here and being biased toward any particular group of people, but you think it's okay to grab a man out of a car and beat him to death, shoot in a car with babies in the car and kill him, or to catch a man doing something illegal. Now, I'm not – now, let me say this. I'm not condoning any of the other foolishness that went on with any of the guys who were doing illegal activities or whatever the case may be when they got killed.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, did that really warrant them to kill these guys? You know, whenever a guy go in a church and shoot everybody, you take him to get something to eat. You know, that I have a problem with that because it's like, man, I got boys. I got young minority boys at home. You know, my sons are really, really important to me. So when every time they leave, I'm in pure, I'm cringing and hoping they make it back. You know, like now they going to play basketball. You know, you don't know what's happening or what could happen in the midst of getting stopped or whatever the case may be.
It puts us all in a fearful situation.
Yeah.
I got stopped in Louisiana.
He's standing up for our rights. He's standing up for everybody who's been wrongly pulled over and condemned and brutally, abused, searched and different things that go along with that. You know, it's not right, man. I mean, at some point you got to say enough is enough, and then you have to look at it and say, what kind of person would I be if I keep letting this go on? If I don't say something in disrespect to this, this ain't right, man.
He's been a human martyr. He has sacrificed himself.
You know, he needs to say enough is enough, though. You know, really needs to say enough is enough. One of the owners needs to grow a set and decide that the First Amendment matters for us too, not just the NBA. Adam Silver doesn't have a magic wand.
Exactly.
And the fact that you got 32 guys that are kowtowing to Trump, what they need to do is tell him to mind his own effing business and go about it anyway, because you're not going to lose. You're not losing viewership. I don't even know why they listen to him when he says that viewership's down, because the only thing I know is, you can tell when Donald Trump's bullshit and his lips are moving. I mean, come on, give me a break. He's telling you that viewership's down.
I'll tell you this, man. I've never said anything disrespectful about the president or go on the loose to be, the wild guy. But at some point, you have to take care of everybody, not just a certain group of people or a certain person. You know, everybody matters in all forms of life. Everybody matters, and everybody's important. So if we don't all come together and quit hating on each other and the foolishness that go along with everything that we do and say, my father, man, he gave me this program idea years ago before he passed. He passed from cancer, stage 4, fought it for 5 years, and kind of chokes me up when I talk about it, but it's real important to me. And seeing what has transpired from this over the years is really important, man. So
what I mean, and when you stop and you look at a situation like that, we all came in and got involved in grassroots basketball. We all live. It's like we were talking about early on in the show, when we broke things down, the fact that when you look at the passing of Aretha Franklin, you look at your Jim Browns, you look at how sports and both entertainment and music, how it takes on it creates a social opportunity to influence what's going on politically and social, economically, and across the board. So we go out there. We love the game of basketball. We love sports. We love these things. But we're looking at young men. I mean, I'm talking on the phone to Robin today about Kenny's son. Those are the opportunities. Yeah, I've been involved with multiple NBA pros, but what about the Emmanuel Igmanosas? What about the Robert Hatters? These are guys that have gone on, graduated from Stanford, one from Cornell. You got Joe Branch that graduated from Northwestern. All these guys were good basketball players, solid basketball players. They were, whatever. But what they've gone on to do now, and all of them are 34 and younger, and what they've achieved. One kid is already retired from Google. He was in the front end of that process, all through the vehicle of basketball. But what we're getting at is, Kenny, is that sports gives us a platform to be able to influence our community. Some of us say, well, we're helping kids. We're doing doing those things like that right there. We're taking on.
That's why I commend LeBron James right now. That's why I take my hat off to him. It's not too many people, man, that reach out and reach back. That's the biggest thing. Everybody can take money, but what about giving the money back once you take it? Whose life have you affected? Yeah. Exactly. Whose life have you affected or helped through the gains of your life? Through your capital gains. Who have you set off in another direction to help somebody else?
Right.
Every time you gain, you're supposed to give back, and that's what we all don't do. Everybody's always searching for something, but at the end of the day, a guy told me something one time, Branch, and it really resonated in my mind. A young brother by the name of Kevin Business Butler, 3D Sports. He told me, he said, money is a great slave, but a terrible master. And I took that and I ran with that. and Kevin's much younger than I am.
I know Kevin very
But
well.
He
Yeah,
told
extremely
me
well.
some knowledge and told me something, because that's how I met you, Branch, is through Kevin Business Butler
I
when
didn't
we used to
realize
do
that.
tournaments back in the day.
Mhm.
Speaking of which, we got a tournament going 24th through 26th next week.
Tally him up over there.
We got D2, D3 schools, Big E,
That's two
Big
spots.
Rod, get it. The program right, we get it in. We try to help you boys get to
go ahead and tell
school.
me it's gonna be
Come see us.
covered by
Come see us.
covered by 5 State Hoop Report and TexasBoysBasketball.com.
Covered by yes sir. Covered by Alan Branch, aka the Genius, Little Big Brother, and covered by Ernie the Prince from the United States of America, not Africa. And we got some other guys gonna be in the house, man. We try to get these kids in school. If you got kids that don't have offers, that don't have nothing, tell them to come out and play. These coaches are walking around with D2, D3 schools with offers in their pocket or financial aid to get you in school. Come see us.
You know what? I will buy you a steak dinner at Martin Steakhouse if let's say y'all gonna have, what y'all doing high school, you're gonna have 24 teams over there. Let's say you have 24 high school teams. I'll buy you a steak dinner if you can give me accurate rosters and numbers for all the players that are going to be involved in the process. Y'all want me to help? I got to know who the hell I'm looking at. I had that conversation with you earlier today. Y'all do a big job of running your mouth about we want this, we got that, but you don't want to help anybody help, you know?
Hey, Branch. Then when you saw Von Barry jumping dude in the 2019 class, God bless his soul, his ACL, his meniscus is tore right now.
I saw him before he tore his ACL, so I know what he is.
You walked over that table and said, "Good God Almighty, does that guy have a in his legs?" I said, "No, that's just Tavon Berry." That's what I told you. That's what I told you, Brad.
Well, hype master right here, boy.
Yeah, I don't know if the conversation went that way.
Hey, Ernie, you were all the way up on the other end of town. You're not quite sure if that sounded like that down there.
Sound like, no.
Hey.
Remember this right here. I'm going to go to Costa Rica, eat some good dinner. But you remember this right here, Branch. You're going to get your first look of the 2018 Program 17U team, live action.
Okay. Hey, I'm going to be out there taking a look at it.
Coach, I appreciate y'all. Much love, man. God bless and good night. And don't forget, the program basketball wants you.
Hey, I gave it all to him, boy. It'll be a long time before we play for a haircut again. Lone Star Sports Show right here on the Lone Star Sports Network. Back in 180 seconds with more of the Lone Star. All things sports, all things Texas, giving it to you like it is. This particular segment was brought to you by Hartem Hotels. Hartem Hotels is located right there in Houston, Texas. Go take a look at hartemhotels.com and see where you can find out about their investment and development company, about putting your money where you sleep. All positive and all productive. They got a track record to go with it. Go take a look and listen. Back in 180 seconds.
every year.
Hey, here we are at the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. All things sports, all things Texas. Today's show is brought to you by FastModelSports.com. We had a good Cowboy look, but we are right down into basketball Thursday. We're finna chime it all the way over there. We give it all to it. I got some free dinners and free haircuts and shaves and everything coming from right now. Dallas Cowboys going to take care of me. I projected them at 10-6 to 11-5. Where we want to be. Y'all can hold me accountable for either one that you want to. But right now, we're going to move back into basketball Thursday right here. Kenny was expressing some things about the whole cancer thing. We know what, Dickie V does with it. And, I can just talk cancer story after cancer story, coaches versus cancer. Probably you see all of us walking around in tennis shoes. And cancer's just all over the place right now. And at the break, Tom and I were having a conversation, and Tom has scribbled some names down, some people who were lost, and I'm assuming I never actually confirmed that Aretha Franklin somehow took cancer, but based on what it took, I didn't even research it enough. But I can come up with enough other people. Right. It's I got an ex-wife right now, the mother of two of my children, that went into remission from 3-stage, 4-stage breast cancer, recovered for 10, 11 years, has come back with a vengeance, and I just won't go any farther than that, but, she's still doing well, but she's fighting like hell, too, right now. Kenny talked about losing his father in the situation. It's just all over the place. I can just point any direction they want. One of my closest friends just lost a sister and then has another sister. It's a fight, but this is what I'll say, and I was really impressed with what you said, Tom. You said, and this was nowhere in the run sheet. We're deviating. And whatever suffers, that's whatever. I think this is a worthy thing to talk about. And I'm the world's worst to be saying what I'm about to say. But it's one of those do as I say, don't do as I do type things. Because the right is right and wrong is wrong. And I'm wrong for what I do, but I'm going to speak up for what's right. Right. You talked about contributing, 5% of your income in some form or fashion. But you talked about contributing to some form of cancer research. I think a campaign that would twist the arms and force and bring a level of accountability and guilt or responsibility, whatever it takes, right, for the early detection.
Well, that's my whole point was that basically my quick story is that I'm 55. I never get sick. I'm so healthy. I don't even know how to use my insurance. I swear to God, I don't go to the doctor. So I was just joking with Honey before. I said, I don't have health care. I have sick care. I wait till I'm all effed up and then I go get fixed up. Yeah. And what happened was I got good insurance, but I don't even know how to use it. So my mom and my wife both got it. They said, Tom, you're 55 years old. You need to get checked for prostate cancer. You need to do a colonoscopy. And then I had a tag on my neck. And I went and got I had the PSA test done, blood test, and it came up but fine. There was no problem. And then I had the oncologist. The oncologist does the what do you call it? What did I just say? That was the name of that? What's the name of the procedure?
PSA?
No, the PSA is for prostate cancer.
Right.
And the proctology.
I have no idea.
It doesn't matter. But I had the process done last
Friday.
Friday.
Test it, Coach.
Yeah, but anyway, I'll come back to it in a minute.
Check you, Coach.
I'm an idiot. It's a colonoscopy. There you go. Got it.
Yeah.
Colonoscopy. So
that's
anyway,
invasive there
and
too,
it's pretty
yeah,
invasive, right? And it's a little bit more than I want to deal with. But anyway,
we don't need no more. Too much information.
We won't go there. No.
You know they got
but
you, Coach.
My point was, my mom and my wife shamed me into doing it because I'm just like Alan. I'm a do as I say, not as I do guy. And so then I went to the doctor about this thing on my neck, and it was a basal cell thing. It's a skin cancer, so that's not really a big deal at all, and I'm not really worried about it. But I guess what I would say is, after all these years of dragging my feet, if my stubborn, obnoxious ass can go out and do it, you guys can too. And you shouldn't do it for you. You should do it for the people that will miss you if you don't do it. Your children and your wife and your kids.
I'll go out on a limb,
your brothers,
and make a statement right here. I got a statement for you. We talk about the cure of cancer, and I got some close friends, they get really, really frustrated in the coaching industry because we kind of deal with it head on with the coaches versus cancer, right, and so much interaction. Talk about it. We have a way better chance of dealing with the early detection and prevention than we have of a pure
full-blown cure.
Cure.
I think you're right about that.
Because right now, I can remember a time, and you're not the same age. We can remember a time when cancer used to be a full-blown death sentence.
Oh, if they said the C word, it was over.
It was over.
You just went ahead and spent your money and had fun.
And Lady Life might be older to remember this. Back in East Texas, they used to say, boy, if they ever open you up, it's all done. They're going to let the air get to it.
It'll all shoot out. You never fix yourself up.
Right. You're all downhill, so don't let them cut on you. Just ride it out. That's how crazy the whole C thing used to be. Now, the success rate of treatment and prolonging the things they deal with the early detection.
Well, and the thing about it is the word metastasize. Most of you guys probably know what it is, but it's when cancer travels around your body. And the whole thing is metastasizing is, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think you can metastasize until stage 3. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Stage 1 is the development of. Stage 2 is the growth of. Stage 3 is it starts traveling. And stage 4 is you better write a will.
Yeah.
Because that's where you're at right there. And so if you don't get into it early detection is everything, like breast cancer. I mean, no woman in the world wants to have her breast removed, but I'd rather live with my breast than die with them.
Right. It's like they're talking about you get Branch.
Without them to die with them,
getting old. Plan B. They got a plan B for you if you don't want to get old.
Yeah, I'll take old over dead.
Right.
I'm down.
But no, with all sincerity, I was saying I don't know what all your thoughts are, Tom, and hopefully you express. I really appreciate you taking time and pulling my coattail and say, let's talk about it. But we should challenge it. I mean, I'm the guy. I gotta say, I don't have it figured out. I'm kind of like you on the health insurance deal. My wife has my health insurance card. I don't even know I don't even know what company. I don't know. I'm not sure. I know they take money out to account for it every month. I do know that much about it. But the point being is that we have to take sincerely approach that, and a lot of it's out of fear.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you sitting here talking to a guy. I say it right here on the air. I'm kind of sitting here looking. Maybe I can ride this thing out for about 20 more years, and I'll be all right.
Have you seen the commercial?
Whatever they figure out.
Have you seen the HIV testing commercial? Any of you guys? There's a commercial that's just been on TV recently, and it shows a whole bunch of different people. And the one was like, "Well, I never thought about it because I'm in a relationship," and there was like a common theme, but they just kept like, "Well, it never dawned on me, or I never thought about it," because they keep rationalizing. And then one guy finally just came out, "I'm scared."
Yeah.
But the only thing scarier than hearing bad news today is waiting and hearing bad news in 6 months or a year when it kills you.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, and that's the big deal. I mean, that's the whole thing is just the fear. But this is what I think. I think when you're dealing with old guys like us, I don't think you're going to remove that fear. But what we can do is a young, healthy guy like Honey, if he starts to make that a part of his culture and how he takes care of himself, he probably won't end up like us, Coach. That's what I always say when I'm looking back at the younger guys. Do as I say and not as I do. Because a whole lot of stuff I do, if I don't know I'm going to live this long, I take a lot better care of myself.
Well, there's things that you do that, like when you're 30, that you share with players. Like you're 30 and they're 18, so there are certain things you teach them and you share. And then maybe they're not, we're too far removed at 55 to share. Go get, colon cancer checked with an 18-year-old, but we can say it to a 40-year-old. And we got to reach out to every coach we know because almost every coach I know has got someone who would just die if they died. I would just fall apart, and you can't do that. It's not fair, really. To be honest with you, it's borders on selfish. Because I've been selfish as hell. I could just as easily got 3 diagnoses and said you're dying next month.
Because it's fear, Coach.
It is. Oh no, I'm a candy ass. I'm not a tough guy. I'm a fake tough guy.
Nobody. I mean, when you get to a certain point, when you get to the point that you really process your mortality, of realizing that you're not going to live forever, then then you start really wondering when your date is.
My dad had 8 brothers and sisters, right? And when he was the second to youngest, and everyone kind of died from the top down pretty much. And then about 20 years ago, my dad's younger brother died. Boy, my old man had a reality check because he saw his own mortality. Because like he told me, he said, "Tommy, I knew Don was going to die because he's older than me by 8 years, and he drank and he ate like hell and all this stuff." He goes, "Jesus Christ, Rick's 10 years younger than me," and he said, "So well, take care of yourself."
Yeah, and we all suffer that. But I guess if we want to say any kind of shout out to the from the Lonestar Sports Network, out to anyone that's listening, will be listening, all things is that especially to the young men and not just athletes but just men in period. Start on the young side because the older you get, the harder it gets to do anything about it because you start kind of saying, "Well, I made it this long, maybe I can make it a little bit longer." And pretty soon you say, "I can make it long up there, and that's really not going to matter,"
Well, and this sounds hypocritical, but for the young ladies out there, it's exactly the opposite. From the moment you're 14 years old, you've got to go to OBGYN. Or what is it, the person who goes gynecologist? You have to go to a gynecologist.
I think that's right.
And so hopefully you've developed good habits as you get in your 20s and 30s. But us guys, we just keep ignore, and hope for the best.
I mean, I got a blood pressure machine. I had a big scare. I'll tell you. I don't know if I want to share this. It's not that big a deal. The other day, the blood pressure machine stopped working right. I don't know. We don't know why it's not working right. But I was feeling fine. But I got so paranoid. I don't even want to tell y'all the numbers. The numbers that people told me I would have been passed out or whatever. I get in my car when my wife is not looking. I run to the fire station, call the paramedics out here, say, "Man, I need y'all to check my blood pressure, man. I got some crazy numbers. I feel fine, under a little stress, this, that, and other." They checked it, and it was actually really good. But for those 3 hours of wondering what was what and sneaking back in there and checking it again and still getting some crazy numbers, it leads back to what you say. So I think we have to take a page. I mean, we always realize that God kind of gave women better instincts, better decision makers sometimes because of their role as, being caregivers to our young.
Right.
I think they're smarter and men are kind of invincible, but we got to figure out a way to reach out. We just dedicated pretty much a whole segment to cancer prevention, research. I mean, my biggest shout out, you started out earlier about research on cure. I think the biggest cure.
Think early detection, I think, is probably more important.
Early detection has a better chance and has already a better track record of success than the cure.
Well, here's an old school basketball story. Again, it proves it's old school because I'm talking about Pistol Pete Maravich. But when Pistol Pete was playing at the end of his career, he was really unhappy. He drank a lot. He ate real bad food. Just got through it all. And apparently discovered God when he quit playing. He started eating really well, got in great shape. Pete was like 4 pounds over his playing weight when he went out and died of, I think, either a heart attack or cancer after a pickup game. I mean, in other words, my point being that we can get this feeling of invincibility. Like, I'm in pretty good shape for my age, and so are you. But that doesn't mean we got low blood pressure just because we're not fat. It doesn't mean you couldn't have type 2 diabetes just because you're not overweight, kind of thing. So
we lost a whole. We all have the stories of the people that we were walking. My man, it was head coach at TCU, Neil Doherty.
Yeah.
Went out for a run. Avid runner.
Yeah, Neil was in great shape when he died.
Right, exactly. We both knew.
I knew Neil real well, and he was in great shape.
And so, I mean, we just got to take a look at it and think about it. We just dedicated a whole segment here, but I don't have a problem with that. We come back, we're going to talk more about what's going on with this Condoleezza Rice, the commission and the proposals and kind of where we are in that process. I'm going to kind of acknowledge the fact that, where are we going? And we kind of want to call it the anthem process. It's way bigger than the anthem. I wish people would even stop associating it with the anthem. I know that's part of it, and that's kind of how we kind of want to label it or whatever, but it's way bigger than the anthem by any stretch of the imagination. Come back, we're going to talk more about that. We appreciate you guys coming back at Facebook. We're still remaining on YouTube. We're back in the house, and we'll be steady for the remainder of the year every Thursday and Friday. Every Tuesday and Thursday, 6 to 8, right here on the Lonestar Sports Network, on YouTube Live, and also we are back on Facebook. Once again, Facebook, we apologize. Get it back rolling. If you got things that you want to bring about, we have some political things to talk about next week, what's going on in the community with DISD in the city of Dallas and this bond money and what's going on with the schools. We're going to tag on that, but when we come back here in the next segment, we're going to jump off into the situation of where we are with college basketball, Condoleezza Rice, and the Rice Commission. Back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. Uh-oh. Something's
I
going on.
can't hear anything.
Oh, you can step on it.
Yes, there we go.
Here we are rolling back here at the Lone Star Sports Show right here, the Lone Star Sports Network. All things sports, all things Texas. This particular show is brought to you, today's show is brought to you by FastModelSports.com. Doing it where it needs to be. Got plenty of notes over here. Man, Tom is keeping me all lined up and what's going on. We're running down on time and we only got a couple more segments to really address a few things, but we had some major things to take place, and I've been aware of them since probably November, December of 2017, where things were going. But we like to blame it all on Condoleezza Rice. Let's just kind of bring everybody up to speed. After the FBI scandal probe of what took place in October out in Las Vegas, and we had multiple NCAA coaches. Roughly, I guess, 4 of your coaches, 2 or 3 other non-coaches, Adidas, which is a affiliate team. A lot of people have been subpoenaed. A lot of people have been charged. A lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people are still looking over their shoulder. But at the end of the day, there was a level of corruption of money that was being exchanged for access to have an opportunity to build a relationship or be involved. Multiple different things of where those things were falling. But it was so bad that they brought the NCAA didn't have the power to subpoena, brought the FBI and got involved. They brought it into a wash fraud type thing. I've heard multiple angles on all of that, and it still is, some people saying 1 year to 2 years from going to trial. Some of the guys I knew, some of the guys borderline personally involved, just because it's such a small community in basketball. And so after it became such a, and this is the Alan Branch version of opinion, after it became such a black eye, such an embarrassing moment for basketball, and it was thrown out there so crazy about, you said 3-letter word. I mean, when you say IRS, you say CIA, you say FBI, people know it's serious.
They stand up and take notice.
Yeah. You get anybody's attention if you say any of those three people, DEA, I mean, all those 3-letter people, we talk about the 4-letter people.
No, watch out for that. The IRS got Al Capone.
Yeah,
the Mafia didn't. Chicago Police didn't. The IRS did.
Exactly. You would know that coming from Chicago and the history of that probably better than anybody in this room. But the point being is that when you brought that in, it just like it took things to just a astronomical level of what took place. But one of the things you have to look at, 351 Division I schools, you multiply 351 times 4. And you come up with a number of roughly
1,450, 1,500, something.
Right. Like I keep a number of 1,431 or something I use with my clients on the search firm side of things. But of number of jobs that are available at Division I level, roughly 4 of those. So you're talking about 2%, 1%.
Less than that. Less than a percent. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Of whatever, and then we still have a questionable situation there. So that was the problem that I had, was the reaction to it. And one thing I always hate, and I'm going to talk about this, why is it that when something happens and it requires a certain political stance, do the innocent people are the ones that tend to be the victim? And you say, what are you talking about here? 351 Division I schools, roughly somewhere around 1,300 Division I scholarships are awarded every year, and we are implementing rules and adjusting based on 1,250.
0.2%.
Exactly.
0.2%.
0.2%. Right, is what you were talking about. And now you turn back around, and roughly out of the 1,300 scholarships that are given out every year at the Division I level, some people say 1,150, some people say 12, 13, whatever number you want to have. Now, the less than 1% of 5-star potential NBA players that was so-called somewhere affiliated in some kind of a way in the nature of what was going on, the other And 99 athletes that will never be affiliated with that are having an opportunity taken away from them. That's the problem that I have.
Well, you know what the smells of. This is kind of a different take on it. So bear with me for a second while I try to explain it. Back in the late mid '90s to late '90s, everyone in the NBA smoked weed. Nobody cared. It was the dirty, dark secret. You knew it. I knew it. Nobody cared about it.
They didn't test for it.
They didn't test for it because and what happened was Allen Iverson and Stephon Marbury kept getting busted. Every time they get busted in their Maybach, they'd always have a bag of weed. So it got kind of like it got down to like a public relations nightmare. So David Stern finally said, "Now listen, guys, we're going to test for weed. We're just going to make sure you always know when the test is. That's why no one ever fails a weed test. And you have to be a moron to fail a weed test.
We have a few morons though.
But anyway, so the point being though that then they had this big pushback, and it was all a big pushback as a political thing. It was all like a PR stunt to try to make the league look less gangsterish, look less thuggish, whatever. Whatever phrase you want to use.
I'm gonna chalk one up for Tom. Tom, I mean, he struggled with the Cowboys. He been having a rough night. You might have just
got extended, baby.
You might have got 5 points on that. The deal that you're right, Coach. I think you correct me if I'm incorrect about where you're going. What we're looking at is it came out and got so much negative exposure that we have to come in and do something
and
drastic.
Act like we care. And the thing is, nobody cares who smokes weed, and no one cares who cheats in college basketball. The NCAA, David Burst doesn't give a damn who cheats, but now Condoleezza Rice has to go put on a dog and pony show, and she's going to hop through some hoops, and we're going to come out with some predetermined, foregone conclusion, and what they're going to do is they're going to fix a cancer with a Band-Aid.
And it didn't really have anything to cheat. And the deal is, I still go back. This is my problem with it. I'm around 5-star, high level, one and done guys, but you know what? I'm around a whole lot of other guys that are just trying to get a scholarship and a free education, like Kenny's boys that was on there.
Right. Kid
got 1,300 SAT, can make 2 shots in a row. He probably going to get a scholarship somewhere and not to pay for college. That's a good thing. That kid right there has nothing to do with what went on in October.
Right. But everyone gets corralled.
But it's more kids like him hurt with opportunity than the situation or what was going on there. So, and then here's my other problem. How many times do you create a commission or a board or a group or a focus group or whatever committee and put them in place to solve something, and you don't have anyone on the committee that's been an active part? But do not anybody misinterpret this. Alan Branch is not saying he should have been a part of it, but we have plenty of guys out there like your Rob Kennedy's, who's been around this stuff forever.
Okay.
Boo Williams, who's been around this stuff forever. Dino's in California has been around this stuff forever. Gary Charles has been. I mean, I can go on down the list of people that have been around, that are respected people in the industry, that could at least sit down with someone as intelligent as Condoleezza Rice is and give her the information. See, one thing about it is not about knowing everything. It's about surrounding yourself with people that can give you appropriate information.
But you reminded me of a story. It's really funny. You talked about committees. And I got hired by John Clark, his famous old football coach up at Plano, and they named the first stadium after him. Okay, so anyway, Coach Clark, one time when he resigned, or pardon me, when Coach Kimbrough resigned, and they were going to name his replacement, they said, who's going to be on the committee? And John Clark was kind of an old cowboy, and he looked at him with contempt. He said, "A committee? I'm a committee of one." Because he said committees are for cowards. Yeah. Because what a committee is if it all works out well, you say, "Well, I was for him anyway." But if it doesn't work out, I get to blame it on Honey and Lady over there because I didn't want that clown. That wasn't my decision. So I hate the word committees. It's for cowards.
And I think there's some truth to that, but I think there's a lot of positive.
Sharing is positive. The sharing of information is positive, but the lack of accountability and the lack of responsibility for the decision that the committee makes is what I don't like. Like Condoleezza Rice is too smart not to come up with a good answer to something besides just political bullshit.
At some point, you know where I fault? I don't fault Condoleezza Rice with what she came up with. And a lot of my close friends will say, "Branch, that doesn't make sense. What are you talking about?" I don't fault her for what she came up with because she was doing the best with what she knew and understood. Right. What I fault her, NCAA, whoever decided how we're going to pick the committee, how in the hell do you go and put a group of people? If I'm going to have a committee that's going to examine the safety of construction in the city of Dallas, municipality, I'm not going to have not one person on there that's never been a contractor, never built a home.
Right.
Never been
I would know what you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's my point.
But see, what she's trying to that tells me it's political, because what she's saying is, I'm not going to put a bunch of basketball people on here. Otherwise, you'll say it's a predetermined decision. So I'm going to bring in heads of industry, and I'm going to bring in this guy over here who went to my bougie law school, and this guy who belongs to the country club, and then we all decide on the predetermined outcome. Like the rule that I can't stand is this idea that somebody's going to be on a committee to determine who's an elite player, and the elite player can have an agent, but the non-elite player can't. I don't get that. All you've done is you just open up a can of worms of corruption.
And a lot of people jump on the agent piece on it, and the agent thing is...
No, I have no problem with the agent. I think everybody should be able to have
The agent
one.
thing is a long ways away. There's a lot of things that have transpired that the agent thing won't happen. See, this is one of the things that they didn't explain. You're not going to be any agents until the collective bargaining group for the NBA come together and approve that for those agents to be there. If not, they won't even be certified agents anymore if it's not approved by the collective bargaining agreement.
Right, but if you look like the baseball model, and the baseball model says that you can go into the draft with an agent. If you like your spot, you can go play pro, pass on college. If you don't, you go back to college.
But that's something that Major League Baseball has approved.
Right, but the difference between Major League Baseball and basketball is basketball is going to take it upon themselves to sift through and come up with the quote-unquote elite. We talked about how much we hate that word. What determines elite? You said so?
Yeah, exactly. Nobody wants this. They had a conference call as we winding down on time. All 351 Division I schools were invited to a conference call where there were multiple people, Kunzo, Martin, the Duke coach, what's his name, Mike Krzyzewski, and a couple other coaches. Coach out at he used to be at Oregon, now he's at Oregon State. Were all on there, part of different parts of the main committee, and they were all in place and talking about nobody's really wanting to do this. And we're probably going to come back and talk about this some more because we haven't done it any justice as we wind down on the show right here with roughly 30 or 40 seconds to go. We've got a lot of decisions made. Nobody likes change, and change is not always a bad thing, but let's make some educated change.
And let's watch out for the law of unintended consequences when we make those changes.
Yeah, well, that's a good way of intelligent, kind of a snazzy way of saying it, but it's so much more detailed. There's so many, I'm going to always come back down to, I got in this business dealing with kids and helping kids and kids accessing education and professional development and learning, just becoming better through the vehicle of basketball,
right.
Which is a lot that you've done, in your coaching process of how many young men that you've helped beyond just how good of basketball players they were. But the point is that this whole thing is analyzed and looked at, and, you just scratch your head, and you eliminated two opportunities. I preach for years, kids have 21 days to play unlimited amount of time in front of college coaches, and they just went in and roughly swiped that down from 21 days to 11 days.
So cut it in half.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
So you just cut kids' opportunity down.
Wow.
We know what happened. Now we're turning around and we're sitting here. We're in the state of Texas where guys can't even coach their guys in June. You a high school coach. You never have coached your guys in June.
I've been trying to make that change for 15 years.
Now they've passed a law in, but school district got to figure out how they're going to pay for it. You got workman's comp, insurance, the buses, and all that stuff.
Well, the football coaches are finally going to start supporting that, controlling the kids, because they're starting to have to deal with summertime
But
pimps
there's
too.
a cost that comes in.
Oh,
I've
you're
talked
right.
to high level. You
Money.
got money. So you got to go before the school board and say, hey, we want another X number of dollars so that our kids can participate in this and use the buses and pay for the insurance and everything be covered. That's the other side of it. So, it's a lot of things, but we just need some full disclosure that we're doing what's best for the future of the young men and young ladies involved in this process. And let's don't even talk about the inequitability, inequitable nature about one set of rules for the girls, another set of rules for the boys. Go figure that one out.
Right.
And you got girls. I'm going to speak up for y'all in the WNBA out there. You got WNBA women that are making a better living overseas. They got all the same sponsors that the NBA guys have, but nobody can open the books and show those young ladies what's going on in the WNBA and why they're not making no damn money.
Somebody needs to say the words Title IX. They'll open up.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It is a crazy deal. So, sisters, I spoke out for y'all on that piece because I don't like it, And it's, it's fair. Y'all are good players. Y'all do a lot for the game. And for y'all to be treated like second-class citizens with the sponsors and not really taking a progressive marketing angle, I don't know what it's all about, but it needs to be looked into more. Those ladies are making way too much money overseas. And now you got one right now, I think, young lady that's saying she's out. She's going overseas and she's not coming back. When she comes to the States, she's coming for vacation. That's it.
Didn't Brittany Griner used to play in Russia for her big money, then came over here for a vacation, kind of?
Yeah, it's all. But the fact is, how hard you got to play over here.
Yeah.
I got to play harder over here to make a living than I have to play over there. Hey, we out of here on the Lone Star Sports Show right here on Basketball Thursday. We are deep down in the red zone, the paint, wherever you want to be. Guess what? It is over. The whistle has blown. We will see you. Y'all have a great weekend. We'll be out at the cream of the crop covering what's going on out there, looking for the next rising stars. Start at 12 noon at Drive Nation Fieldhouse, the cream of the crop. Today's show is brought to you by FastMallSports.com. Harlem Hotels investment and development is a part of our process. Multiple deals. We had me and the local guys that came on and talked about their process and all the good things. We're back to Facebook, so we'll be there on a regular basis. We'll see things improving and moving forward, but we'll see you on next week. Y'all have a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Back with more Lone Star Sports Show. Tom Inman, Lady Life, the Prince, Money, and yours truly, Alan Branch, back in just next week.